Book of Tobit, Chapter 1. This book tells the story of Tobit, son of Tobiel, son of Hananiel, son of Ajuel, son of Gabael, son of Raphael, son of Ragiel, of the family of Asiel and the tribe of Naphtali. During the days of Shalmaneser, king of the Assyrians, he was taken captive from Thisbe, which is south of Kadesh, Naphtali, in Upper Galilee, above and to the west of Asher, north of Fogor. Part 1. Tobit's Ordeals. His virtue. I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life on paths of fidelity and righteousness. I have performed many charitable deeds for my kindred and my people who have been taken captive with me to Nineveh, in the land of the Assyrians. When I lived as a young man in my own country, in the land of Israel, the entire tribe of my ancestor Naphtali broke away from the house of David, my ancestor, and from Jerusalem, the city that had been singled out of all Israel's tribes, that all Israel might offer sacrifice there. It was the place where the temple, God's dwelling, had been built and consecrated for all generations to come. All my kindred, as well as the house of Naphtali, my ancestor, used to offer sacrifices on every hilltop in Galilee to the calf that Jeroboam, king of Israel, had made in Dan. But I alone used to go often to Jerusalem for the festivals, as was prescribed for all Israel by long-standing decree, bringing with me the first fruits of crops, the firstlings of the flocks, the tithes of livestock, and the first shearings of sheep. I used to hasten to Jerusalem and present them there to the priest, Aaron's sons, at the altar. To the Levites ministering in Jerusalem, I used to give the tithe of grain, wine, olive oil, pomegranates, figs, and other fruits. 6 years in a row I used to give a second tithe in money, which each year I would go to pay in Jerusalem. The third year tithe I gave to orphans, widows, and converts who would join the Israelites. Every third year, I would bring them this offering, and we ate it in keeping with the decree laid down in the Mosaic law concerning it, and according to the commands of Deborah, the mother of my father Tobiel. For my father had died and left me an orphan. When I reached manhood, I married Anna, a woman of our ancestral family. But by her I had a son, whom I named Tobias. Now after I had been deported to the Assyrians and came as captive to Nineveh, all my kindred and my people used to eat the food of the Gentiles, but I refrained from eating that Gentile food, because I was mindful of God with all my heart. The Most High granted me favor and status with Shalmaneser, so that I became purchasing agent for all his needs. Until he died, I'd go to Media to buy goods for him, worth 10 talents in trust with my kinsman Gabael, son of Gibri, who lived in Rages. When I reached manhood, I married Anna. I also deposited pouches of silver, Gabael, son of Gabri, who lived in Rages, the land of Media. When Shalmaneser died and his son Sennacherib came to rule in his stead, the roads to Media became unsafe, so I could no longer go to Media. Courage in burying the dead. In the days of Shalmaneser, I had performed many charitable deeds for my kindred, members of my people. I would give my bread to the hungry and clothing to the naked. If I saw one of my people who had died and been thrown behind the wall of Nineveh, I used to bury him. It had been outlawed at the time. Sennacherib returned from Judea, having fled during the days of the judgment enacted against him by the king of heaven because of the blasphemies he'd uttered, whomever he killed and buried. For in his rage he killed many Israelites, but I used to take their bodies away by stealth and bury them. So when Sennacherib looked for them, he could not find them. But a certain Ninevite went and informed the king about me, that I was burying them, and I went into hiding. When I realized that the king knew about me and that I was being hunted to be put to death, I became afraid and took flight. All my property was confiscated. I was left with nothing. All that I had was taken to the king's palace, except for my wife Anna and my son Tobias. But 40 days did not pass before two of the king's sons assassinated him and fled to the mountains of Ararat. A son of his, Esarhaddon, succeeded him as king. He put Ahikar, my kinsman Aniel's son, in charge of all the credit accounts of his kingdom, and he took control over the entire administration. Then Ahikar interceded on my behalf, and I returned to Nineveh. Ahikar had been chief cupbearer, keeper of the signet ring, treasury accountant, and credit accountant under Sennacherib, king of the Assyrians, and Esarhaddon appointed him as second to himself. He was in fact my nephew, of my father's house, and of my own family. Chapter 2. Thus, under King Esarhaddon, I returned to my home, and my wife Anna and my son Tobias were restored to me. Then on our festival of Pentecost, the holy feast of weeks, a fine dinner was prepared for me, and I reclined to eat. The table was set for me, and the dishes placed before me were many. So I said to my son Tobias, "Son, go out and find and whatever poor person you find among our kindred exiled here in Nineveh, who may be a sincere worshiper of God, to share in this meal with me. Indeed, son, I shall wait for you to come back." Tobias went out to look for some poor person among our kindred, but he came back and cried, "Father!" I said to him, "Here I am, son." He answered, "Father, one of our people has been murdered. He's been thrown out into the marketplace, and there he lies strangled." I sprang to my feet, leaving the dinner untouched, carried the dead man from the square, and put him in one of the rooms until sundown, so that I might bury him. I returned and washed, and in sorrow ate my food. I remembered the oracle pronounced by the prophet Amos against Bethel: "I will turn your feasts into mourning, and all your songs into dirges." Then I wept. At sunset I went out, dug a grave, and buried him. My neighbors mocked me, saying, "Does he have no fear? Once before he was hunted to be executed for this sort of deed, and he ran away. Yet here he is again, burying the dead." Tobit's blindness. That same night I washed and went into my courtyard, where I lay down to sleep beside the wall. Because of the heat, I left my face uncovered. I did not know that sparrows were perched on the wall above me. Their warm droppings settled in my eyes, causing white scales on them. I went to doctors for a cure, but the more they applied ointments, the more my vision was obscured by the white scales, until I was totally blind. For 4 years I was unable to see, and all my kindred were distressed at my condition. Ahikar, however, took care of me for 2 years until he left for Elam. At that time, my wife Anna worked for hire at weaving cloth, doing the kind of work women do. When she delivered the material to her employers, they would pay her a wage. On the 7th day of the month of distress, she finished the woven cloth and delivered it to her employers. They paid her the full salary and also gave her a young goat for a meal. On entering my house, the goat began to bleat, so I called to my wife and said, "Where has this goat come from? It was not stolen, was it? Give it back to its owners. We have no right to eat anything stolen." But she said to me, "It was given to me as a bonus, over and above my wages." Yet I would not believe her, and told her to give it back to its owners. I flushed with anger at her over this, so she retorted, "Where are your charitable deeds now? Where are your righteous acts? Look, all that has happened to you is well known." Chapter 3. Then, sad at heart, I groaned and wept aloud. With sobs, I began to pray. You are Tobit's prayer for death. Chapter 3. You are righteous, Lord, and all your deeds are just. All your ways are mercy and fidelity. You are judge of the world. And now, Lord, be mindful of me and look with favor upon me. Do not punish me for my sins or for my inadvertent offenses or for those of my ancestors. They sinned against you and disobeyed your commandments. So you handed us over to plunder, captivity, and death, to become an object lesson, a byword, and a reproach in all the nations among whom you scattered us. Yes, your many judgments are right in dealing with me as my sins and those of my ancestors deserve, for we have neither kept your commandments nor walked in fidelity before you. So now, deal with me as you please. Command my life breath to be taken from me, that I might depart from the face of the earth and become dust. It is better for me to die than to live, because I have listened to undeserved reproaches, and great is the grief within me. Lord, command that I be released from such anguish. Let me go to my everlasting abode. Do not turn your face away from me, Lord, for it is better for me to die than to endure so much misery in life and to listen to such reproaches. Part 2. Sarah's plight. Sarah falsely accused. On that very day, at Ecbatana in Media, it so happened that Raphael's daughter Sarah also had to listen to reproaches from one of her father's maids, for she had been given in marriage to 7 husbands, but the wicked demon Asmodeus kept killing them off before they could have intercourse with her, as is prescribed for wives. The maid said to her, "You are the one who kills your husbands. Look, you have already been given in marriage to 7 husbands, but you do not bear the name of a single one of them. Why do you beat us? Because your husbands are dead? Go join them. May we never see sons or daughters of yours." That day, Sarah was sad at heart. She went in tears to an upstairs room in her father's house and wanted to hang herself. But she reconsidered, saying to herself, "No, may people never reproach my father and say to him, 'You had only one beloved daughter, but she hanged herself because of her misfortune.' And thus would I bring my father, laden with sorrow in his old age, to Hades. It is far better for me not to hang myself, but to beg the Lord that I might die, and no longer have to listen to such reproaches in my lifetime." At that same time, with hands outstretched toward the window, she implored favor. Sarah's prayer for death. Blessed are you, merciful God. Blessed be your holy and honorable name forever. May all your works forever bless you. Now to you, Lord, I have turned my face and have lifted up my eyes. Bid me to depart from the earth, never again to listen to such reproaches. You know, Master, that I am clean of any defilement with a man. I never sullied my own name or my father's name in the land of my captivity. I am my father's only daughter, and he has no other child to be his heir, nor does he have a kinsman or close relative whose wife I should wait to become. 7 husbands of mine have already died. Why then should I live any longer? But if it does not please you, Lord, to take my life, Look favorably upon me and have pity on me that I might never again listen to such reproaches. In answer to prayer. At that very time, the prayer of both of them was heard in the glorious presence of God. So Raphael was sent to heal them both, to remove the white scales from Tobit's eyes, so that he might again see with his own eyes God's light, and to give Sarah, the daughter of Raphael, as a wife to Tobias, the son of Tobit, and to rid her of the wicked demon Asmodeus. For it fell to Tobias' lot to claim her before any others who might wish to marry her. At that very moment, Tobit returned from the courtyard to his house, and Raphael's daughter, Sarah, came down from the upstairs room. Part 3, Preparation for the Journey, Chapter 4, A Father's Instruction.